All right, episode 6.
6.
Oh man, we made it to episode 6. Listen, before we get started, episode 5 is not on this podcast, audio-wise.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah, we had some technical difficulties, so if you want to watch or listen to episode 5, you have to go on YouTube to
Where can they find it?
Abram Crozier Ministries on YouTube, or just type in Preaching Young episode 5, you'll find it. So please do that if you missed episode 5. But we made it to episode 6, and a lot of you guys said we wouldn't make it to episode 4, and here we are at episode 6. So there you go.
Beat that.
But listen, today's podcast is brought to you by David's Stones. They're a landscaping company out in you can buy 3 stones for the price of 1.
Really?
Since it's
It's a
spring.
great deal.
That was. I had to do that on the fly. So that's all I got.
You've had better days.
But anyway, we do have a sponsor for the second half of our podcast, but we'll bring that into you later.
Yes, we will.
But I'm excited, man. Somebody said we had another.
We do
question.
have an email.
An email. That's awesome.
We're on. If we can keep the streak going, it'd be nice.
Yeah.
So keep sending emails in, please.
Where?
You guys can email them at. See if you guys know it. Go ahead. Do you know it?
I couldn't tell you. Preaching
Preaching
Young,
Young, no
gmail.com.
caps, no underscore, wait.
I got
I
this.
think I messed
Preaching
it up.
Young, no caps, no spaces at gmail.com.
I was close, I was getting there.
Very close. Anyway, this question is from a young man named Dylan.
How you doing, Dylan? What's your question for me, brother?
It's actually for me.
Oh,
Haha, beat that. It says, how did you get involved in leading worship?
Nice.
And then how do you pick the songs every week?
Oh.
Well, those of you who don't know so far, I am the worship leader here at Trinity Southern Baptist Church.
Slash
Youth leader. That's it.
live streamer.
Live streamer / whatever else. Anyway, how did I get involved in leading worship? Great question.
That is a good question.
So we talked about it on this podcast before. Visitor standpoints, what it's like to, not impress, but.
Can I give you my perspective?
No, I want to answer this question. This is my question. Don't steal my heat. Okay?
Dylan, I'll give you my perspective here very shortly.
Yes, you will. Okay. Anyway, where I'm going at with this is, we went through a lot of worship leaders.
Couple.
3 maybe?
Yeah.
By the time we
yeah,
got
it was
here,
three,
I think it was 3. Anyway, we went through some worship leaders. Abram, one day, we're going through one, Abram says, hey, what you ever thought about leading worship for? Actually, no, I'm pretty sure this person was sick.
You got to give me my perspective. You got to let me have my perspective.
Hold on, no, I'm getting this right. I'm sorry. This person was sick, I think, and Abram calls me on a Sunday morning at 7:30 or something weird, and calls me, well, he calls Brittany first, but then he calls me and says, hey, there comes a time in every man's life where he's got to step up and lead worship. And I said, don't tell me that's my day today. And then there it was. And then I've been leading worship ever since.
Yeah. So.
Is that how it happened in your eyes?
Sorta. I led worship at my dad's church because we didn't have a worship leader. My dad was actually doing it, and I thought that was awful that he was having to lead worship and then preach. So I literally did it out of convenience. But what it taught me as just somebody in ministry was how to stand up in front of people, how to get their attention. It taught me how to do some phrases and lead in prayer and really just how to control a service. Because when you're leading worship, you have to be able to control the full service. And so I learned how to do that very early on as a young adult. And so when I heard that Andrew could sing a little bit.
Not really.
from me.
He's from Brittany. He still hasn't really sung out loud you do when
it's hard to
everybody's
oversing
singing.
on Sunday morning.
I know, that's true. That is true.
Abram
That's the other
sings the
thing
loudest
too. When
singer
I was leading worship, my old nanny, she was my grandma. We called her Nanny because she was our nanny as well. But she sat in the very far back, and she couldn't hear very well. And so I always made sure that when I sung, I wanted to make sure that my nanny could hear me singing, and so she could follow along.
Well, that's why he sings a lot.
So I do. That's why I sing a lot, and I just carry it over because.
Sometimes it seems effortless. You just blare.
It is now.
It's almost like you're yelling, but it's.
I almost have to at this point. I don't know any other way to sing. But anyway, so I asked Andrew. I said, Andrew, man, you gotta lead, man. I think it would be great. One, you're trying to become a pastor, so I think it'd be great for stage presence.
And it has helped there. It's definitely helped.
Oh, absolutely.
I think so.
Well, I don't think you're
Calms
as nervous as
Calms
much.
nerves, yeah.
Because you're in front of people all the time.
Yeah.
Were you nervous the first time?
Yes, very
Yes,
much.
he was.
Because Brittany calls me
freaking
first.
out.
Brittany called me first. She says, "Hey, Abram's getting ready to call you and ask you to lead worship," and then hangs up.
I don't have time to think in my life.
I didn't have time to think. You didn't give me a choice either. You said,
I react.
You said, hey, Andrew, I need you to lead worship today. I said,
And I expect people to react with me.
and I did that day.
That's interesting. I didn't realize you were nervous.
I was nervous that day. What do you mean? I'd never led worship in my life before.
You gotta do it, man.
And I did.
I had to give you a heads up.
Anyway, there's a second part of that question.
Oh, okay,
How do you
cool.
pick songs every week?
Oh, this is actually really good.
Let me tell you.
Great questions,
That
Dylan.
is a very good question. Brittany always tries to pick me. Here's the thing. She says, you
So-
got to pick these songs on Monday. I say,
Explain to him why. Why?
Yes, I
All
can't do
right,
that.
so I am the secretary, and I put the service together on our PowerPoint so it can show on the screen.
So anytime anything's messed up, man.
It's my fault, yes, it is my fault, which it has happened.
And everybody pays attention to this. I don't know why, but everybody in the church, like, they always look for
Yes, they
any
do.
type of grammar issue or anything.
They
And I don't know
notice it.
why.
Yeah, they notice it.
They want to.
Yes,
They
they
want
do.
to notice it.
You've been off the hook recently with this online stuff, though.
Yes.
So.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
but-
even before that, I must say, I was on a streak.
Yeah, you're doing pretty good. But they
Yeah.
said, there was a study that came out that said, you know, visitors, that is a turning away thing. That's like a turning away factor is PowerPoints that aren't like correct.
Yeah, so I have to
'Cause
be on my
it's
A
a
game.
distraction. So we do
Yeah.
try to push for.
But the reason I asked for the songs so early is because I like to work on them so I don't
Yeah.
mess them up and I have enough time to put them into the service and everything
But
like
with my
that.
sermons, I know a lot of pastors will plan out their year worth of sermons. I have zero idea how anybody can do that. I work weekly, and so sometimes I don't even, like, for example, I'm supposed to be doing a sermon this Sunday. I don't know what I'm doing it on, and it's Wednesday, so I got a while to go.
That's okay. Chef,
Go ahead.
Okay.
So Brittany normally wants
Yes,
that.
Brittany usually wants my songs choices on Monday morning, usually.
Yeah.
Sometimes Tuesday. I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so it's hard to, because I'm in the road on Tuesday, it's hard to look at my phone.
But what are you doing
or looking
Monday?
at hymnal.
What are you doing?
What am I doing Monday? Nothing. Here's
plays
why.
video
Here's the
games.
thing. Here's the thing. Usually watching Netflix, or actually on Mondays I'm usually, what am I doing Mondays?
Sometimes you hang out with
I
me,
usually get an oil change because I need that every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
or you
I
go
drive a lot,
golfing.
or go golfing. Anyway, my point is, Brittany's like, hey, I need these songs on Monday. I'm like, can't do it.
So I asked
She's
her
like,
for
why?
Tuesday.
She's like, why? I'm like,
Day off.
well, one, I'm not feeling anything yet. Friday comes around, which are usually the days we work here at church.
Yeah.
So I
Friday
get it right
rolls
on
around, I open up the old hymn book, and I just pick 4 right then.
A lot of
Every
worship.
Friday.
A lot of worship leaders will pick songs that match the theme of the sermon,
Yes, or time of year.
but you don't do that?
I do that. Time of year, sometimes I try to lean more towards, like this past Thanksgiving, we did a lot about harvest.
Yes.
We had a harvest series, I believe. I did some Thanksgiving ones. Christmas is easy to pick.
I'll give-
Right now we're in spring, even though we're not doing
Lily in the
services,
Valley,
but
that's a good
but
one.
spring is easy to pick. So yeah, I do pick based upon that.
I will give you a little bit of credit
Time of
because
year.
you also try to pick songs that are uplifting, which is a requirement.
Which is a big one for me. One, because I'm nervous, and I know a lot of hymns, but I'm not.
You didn't grow up with him.
I didn't grow up with hymns. I've learned them. I
Yes.
love music. Okay, so learning music for me is easy. I can learn. You send me a song today, I can know it by tomorrow.
Yeah.
100%, all the words, right? I can do that. Picking songs, and I think this goes along with this too. Picking songs that people already know,
Mhm.
but without being repetitive. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because every week, I keep all the bulletins every week, so I know what songs we've sang 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I don't pick those songs. So I try to at least go a month.
It's easy. It's easy in the church to do the same hymns all the time.
Mm.
You know, Because He Lives, Blessed Assurance, those good, Amazing Grace. Those are the go-to ones. But yeah, it's also good to have it upbeat because you're setting a tone in service with the worship. And I, as a pastor, don't like the worship leader doing a lot of talking or distracting. I want us to get right into the songs, stay in the songs, and really feel the songs, and then get into the message and then leave. When there's
And
a lot-
I've been through been under a lot of worship leaders or watched through worship leaders that sing songs that people don't know.
Yeah, when
And
you
they do a really bad job of leading them.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that because
Yeah.
I don't, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, when you sing songs that people don't know, or you do a lot of talking and interrupt the flow of the service, you run into a lot of problems, a lot of distractions. So,
something you won't find here.
yeah, so that's pretty good. Good question, Dylan.
Very good question.
Yeah.
I was excited about that. Let's talk about, since we were kind of talking about our Sunday morning services. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this series that we're in at Trinity right now.
History maker.
History Maker. Right after Easter, I didn't know anything. I didn't know what I was going to talk about. And so we're in this weird online ministry thing that we're trying to do right now because of this pandemic that's happening. So I knew that we as a church had to have something that would, A, engage people, B, motivate people, and C, still push for evangelism, right? We want to, and everything we want to do, we want to make sure that we're always staying focused on our community. And so I came up with this History Maker series that we're in.
Real catchy.
It is kind of catchy. We're calling it's hashtag History Maker to be frank with you. But we're excited about it, and I think it's really been a great series. We had the first one on Sunday, and this week has been a week of prayer. What do y'all think so far about our week of prayer?
It's been very well. I told you that this morning. There's a lot of positive feedback and good response to this. Mainly because I think it gives people an opportunity to feel like they're a part of something.
What is
like
it?
we say hashtag History Maker, and they're like, oh my gosh, I want to be a history maker.
Yeah, everybody wants to be a history maker.
Who doesn't?
And then what we did was we created a graphic, or I created a graphic that said, "Hi, my name is who?" No, I'm just kidding. It says, "Hi, my name is blank, and I'm a history maker." And then I encourage people to sign it, edit it, sign it, and then post it on Facebook. So we've had like 20, 30 people posting that they're, "Hi, I'm a history maker." And the only two people that really aren't doing that are the youngins, because they don't know how.
We couldn't figure it out for the longest
They
time.
don't know how to write on a picture.
I kind of thought at first you were doing it for everybody and just like writing people's names.
I did it for a couple of older people, but I said these people will never figure it out because they're a little bit older. You guys are in the age of technology. You guys grew up with technology.
We still haven't figured it out.
Shocks me.
You did tell us, but we still haven't.
And you did that fun thing on the text message that makes a bunch of
That is the coolest thing ever.
words bubble up, and so you can figure out how to do that, but you can't figure out how to write things on. That's interesting.
Any thoughts, Brittany?
Well,
Nothing?
all I'm saying is, I don't know it, but Andrew never told me that you told us how to do it.
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah.
So-
I actually explained it pretty much in detail. But y'all still haven't done it. But anyway, this has been our History Maker prayer week, and each day
It's been very well.
Yeah, each day we're
really
praying. We're praying for something very specific. So Monday we prayed for thanks, just giving God thanks. You should always start out with giving God thanks, and He's done a lot for us as a church, and I know He's going to do a lot for us in the future. So we want to give Him thanks. Yesterday was repentance, where we're going to really try to pray for repentance and get on our knees and to God and just really repent for the sins that we've made. Today it's Wednesday. It's been open doors. We're just praying for God to open doors for us. And I don't remember what the next two are, but man, it's been great. Here's the fun thing about it. Every week of this series, I don't even know how long this series is going to last because I don't know how long. We may be back in service by Mother's Day, maybe.
That's what they're saying.
Which would be interesting. So I don't know how long this. Well, even then, I could probably tie that into a Mother's Day sermon, History Makers.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of moms out there that are making history with their kids. So anyway, but every week we're going to do something. We're going to focus on something. So this week has been prayer. Next week is going to be, this is a spoiler alert. Next week's going to be Love Your Neighbor.
We'll see who's really listening.
Yes, we will. Love Your Neighbor Week.
Love Your Neighbor Week. I like
So
that.
we're going to encourage our members to show love to their neighbors, mow their yard, give them a meal, make them a mask. I don't know, whatever their God lays on their heart.
I like that too, because it also ties in with outreach and how we're moving towards how we want everybody in our church to do outreach, and we're the church on the move.
Now's the time to do it.
I really like that.
Yeah, and it's easy when you know,
very easy.
because we can't really be in the community because of so many restrictions. Doing something for your neighbor is
Yeah.
quick, easy, and I think it'll be encouraging not only to their neighbors but also to us as
Yeah.
well. So,
That's neat.
yeah, I'm excited. So each week we'll do something fun and really focus on. And what's interesting to me is I'm interested to see how many churches will copy us before then. So
There's been a couple.
we'll see who's listening to this podcast. You churches, I better not see anybody do a Love Your Neighbor Week next week. I'll be watching. All right.
To be fair, you did give it away though.
I did.
So if they steal
So
it,
go ahead, take it. I don't care. Just give me a little bit of credit. Say this is Abe's idea. We'll copy off it. But anyway, let's talk. Let's talk outreach. I know we talked about outreach a couple of podcasts ago, or was that one we deleted? Might have been
No,
one we deleted.
I think we had.
Episode 3.
Oh, that might be in there. Well,
It's one of those episodes where y'all said we weren't
touch on
going to
every
make
week.
it. You said, you aren't going to make it episode 3, but we did, so.
we're on episode
I don't
6
remember
now.
what, I don't remember what the conversation was, but outreach is so important, especially during this time of a pandemic. Outreach is important. It's important for a few different reasons. It's important to do because there's a lot of outreach that needs to be done. But number 2, people need to know that a church is doing something.
Well,
I would never want to be a part of a church that isn't doing anything.
yeah, good. Yeah, I like that. That's good. No, because I think when all this is said and done and we go back to normal,
100%.
it would make my decision 10 times easier to pick where church I'm going to go to.
Yeah, you want to go to a church that's active.
Because I think now it really is starting to uncover what churches are active and which ones aren't, because there's no cover anymore. You can't hide behind your Sunday morning service. You can't hide behind your Sunday school. You can't do any of that. You're literally 100% exposed to what you're doing outreach-wise.
And that involves everything.
Stole the words right out of your mouth today.
You did. Well, that's interesting because if you really look at this pandemic, it has exposed everything. I'm talking about I think I may even be talking about that on my Wednesday night Bible study here tonight. Your Christianity is being exposed. You know.
Yeah.
Do you really believe what you say? Pastors, are you really preaching? Do you really believe what you're preaching? Churches, are you really believing what you guys stand for? What's our mission statement? Y'all know it?
Yeah, I do.
We are praying fellowship
Dedicated to the ministry
of
Jesus Christ.
Nice job.
Are we living up to that? That's being exposed. Because there's a lot of churches that it's very clear that they really don't focus on outreach. It's very clear that there's a lot of Christians who aren't they don't believe that God's going to be there for them even when times are hard. That one, probably the most shocking of them all, is how how unfaithful people are. Just because we're in a pandemic, it's like, oh my gosh. Well, God's word has not changed even though we're in this pandemic.
Nope.
He still is a good God, and he's still promised us a lot of great things, and we still are victorious as Christians. And now more than ever, we should probably be showing that to the world. But unfortunately, a lot of us aren't. It breaks my heart. But outreach is so important.
When we have no other reason not to.
No.
What else are you going to do?
What else are
You
you
can't
gonna
go to a baseball game. You can't go to a basketball game. What are you going to do? You got to tell people about Jesus. It's the only thing you got left.
And you should be just as excited.
Yes, you
You're
should.
taking my Wednesday night Bible study, so I hope we
They
don't.
won't. They can
They're
watch
not
it
going to
back.
see this. Yeah.
Which you can watch it back on Trinity Southern Baptist Facebook page.
So just know that Andrew's not copying off of my Wednesday night Bible study. He's saying this before it. But you're exactly right. We get excited because our Wednesday night Bible studies, we're in a study called Being Excited for Christ. We want to be excited for Christ. And for whatever reason, we aren't. We sit there and it's okay for us to go to a basketball game and be excited. It's okay to go and cheer on your favorite team. It's okay to go to a concert and let go and let loose. But then we go, but if you're a Christian, you shouldn't do that. If you're a Christian, you're supposed to be sad, and you're supposed to be grieving over people, because in ministry you see bad marriages, and you see people struggling, you see people broken, you see people who are broken, struggling financially.
I'm glad you said that.
And they're like, so you got to be like Francis Chan and always be talking like this. But when I read the Bible, it says go to church. You should be rejoicing always. Rejoicing. You should be excited coming to church. You should be excited when you get to praise God. You should be coming to church to not worry about your problems. Not sitting there going to a concert to not worry about your problems.
I think that's exactly what we were just talking about a couple weeks ago on Good Friday.
Yes.
People are so confused as to why it's called Good Friday. They're like, this is a terrible day. Jesus was crucified this day, which I don't really think it matches up to that day. But anyway, you get the point. But it's a good day because it ends in victory. We know what happens next, and the biggest people, or the most people I was hearing this from, was Christians.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, but that's the thing. No non-Christian was going, why is it Good Friday?
Yeah. Nobody was asking that. It was the Christians saying
It's
that.
the Christians that were saying it. It's a weird time that we're living in. We're seeing churches that are refusing to do outreach. I see food pantries that are saying, we need things. We need canned goods. We're in urgent need of these things. And churches are going, well, good luck. They're not, it's like, well, if a food pantry needs something, as a church, we have to step up and provide that because we can. No church, from what I'm gathering in our area, there's no church that is struggling financially right now.
No.
Now, I know a lot of them have applied for these little loans that we've been trying, but I don't think any of them are struggling. Even the smaller churches, I think people are really being faithful and giving even during these times. And so if you are a small church and you're struggling financially, reach out to us. Don't sit there and struggle alone. Let us help you.
And I think now is the biggest time ever for churches to step up.
Yes.
Because it's your biggest witness right now.
And if people are faithfully giving, then we need to be faithfully doing outreach. We need to be faithfully using that money and putting it towards resources that are going to help the community.
Yeah, it shouldn't just go to us and sit on it.
And go ahead.
I think people take outreach and they make it so difficult. It's very simple. It's a very simple
Yes.
concept, especially right now. It's easy to know the need in your community.
Yep.
Look around, everybody has the same need. I mean, some might be worse off than others, but it's easy to do outreach. And I think a lot of churches that I've seen, they complicate it. They're like, oh, we have to do something big. Nothing. No.
And my mindset has been, we need to do one, our team needs to be doing one thing every week. Like, we need to do something every week. So that keeps them on their toes of trying to come up with something creative to do every week. But even like this week, we gave money to a quilt company here that's local that's been making masks for free. Right? We were able to we had an anonymous donation given to our church. We were able to put that towards there and bless them and help them in their efforts to continue to provide free masks. So you have to just do it, man.
It is easy.
We learn, listen, they teach you in the Christian world to allow your members to be a part of things, right? So, there's going to be moments where you're going to want people to give canned goods, let's say, or give give extra cash for certain things because you want them to be a part of it, you want them to grow with you. But there's other times when, let's say, a food pantry is in need of something where the church needs to say, okay, we need to step up immediately and give to this thing so that they are not in need anymore. And then from there you can say, well, y'all can still give just to make sure that they have plenty. But we have to step up as churches. And here's the thing about it. I mean, that's why we are tax exempt, right? It's because we're supposed to be helping out in our communities. That's why the government honors that in our churches.
It's sad to see churches who don't.
Yeah.
Breaks my heart. Breaks my heart.
Because you almost want to look at them and show up at their building and just say, what are you doing?
Now,
if you're not doing anything, what are you doing?
Now, I know a lot of churches have so many red tape that they have to go through in order to get some things done. And my hope and my prayer is through this pandemic, we start to see those red tapes be cut so that whenever we're in a situation like this, there should be a streamline. The pastor should have a little bit more authority just to say, well, this is what we need to get done. Or whoever's in charge of your outreach team needs to say, this is what we need to get done and get it done because I tell you.
We've been saying it for a while. You have to act with a sense of urgency, don't you?
With everything, right? With everything. And even when this is over, we're going to, my mindset's going to be, all right, the next time we have a tragedy or a pandemic, our church is in a flood zone. So at any moment, really, the church could flood. And our town could flood more so. We have to be ready to financially help people, spiritually help people, feed people. It has to be there. Now, with that being said, should food be the only thing that we do? Here's another thing I see a problem with is some churches will stick with one outreach, and then they'll be like, that's our outreach. Like we feed people on one day a week, or we go to Cincinnati one day a week. So that's our outreach. So that's our entire church's thing. And that's also wrong too, right? Because your church should be able to do multiple outreaches. Your church should be looking at multiple ways to impact your community, not just through one thing, right? You need to be looking at different ways because there's different needs all the time. Like in my head, I would never have thought that there was a company here that's making masks for free that, hey, could benefit from receiving something. Who would have thought? We had a kid that passed away after getting hit by a train last week. They're not members at our church, but their family's struggling, and right now it's a weird time if you have to go to the hospital or have a funeral because there's just not much support there. So being able to help those things, those are all necessary. All of it's necessary. So we have to be really on our toes and making sure that we're feeding people more spiritually than physically, but we have to be doing outreach at all
And I think
times.
some people get the wrong mindset, as in like you have to be a big church, you have to have financial resources to do all these things, because you don't. What does it take to? I mean, we just did a prayer drive.
Yep.
Prayer drive.
Real simple, didn't cost us a penny.
Didn't cost us a penny,
Yeah.
but it shows outreach in the community. It shows the people who are praying for them. It's
Yeah.
very simple things. You don't have to be make millions of dollars in the church. You don't have to be a mega church. You don't have to have 400 people at your church to do these things. It's very simple to do.
It's as simple as picking up the phone and calling a member, seeing what they need. Hey, how can we help you today? That's as simple as outreach is.
Yep. And people are going to, when you're an active church, this is what we have seen firsthand. When you're an active church doing outreach, people are going to give even more because they're like, this church is doing it. Right? We have people giving that is not part of our church that are saying, we like what you're doing in our community, we support it, and we want to help you guys financially. So we're seeing an abundance of finances coming in just so we can do our outreach. So we have to be aware of that as well. If we're going to say God provides, we need to back it up and say, hey, we're going to give a little bit more to our community this week and know that God will provide in the long run.
It's drawing people into the church. Because
people
just like Colton said on our last episode, that was the biggest deciding factor in picking a church. When they were kind of struggling with the church they were at, they were like, Trinity's doing a lot. They're doing a lot of active stuff in the community. Let's go try it out.
And when your church buys banners and yard signs as opposed to helping a need in the community, that looks terrible, right? Everybody in the community goes, well, that church just went through my town with a big old banner, but yet they're sitting there asking for donations for a food pantry, right? It doesn't make sense. So we have to make sure that what we're doing is very focused and strategic, and we're, if we're going to...
Keyword, very strategic.
Yeah, strategic.
Everything we do is very strategic.
If you're gonna take money, especially at church's money, I am very aware that this is not. I know people say it's God's money. No, people are working for this money. People are giving out of the kindness of their heart. They're giving because they're convicted.
And they want to see their money go to something good.
So
the reason they're giving is because they don't know what to do with it. So they're like, we'll give it to the church.
And if we have it in God's house, we need to use it for God's work. It's not just to pay the bills and not just to pay our salaries, right? Those need to be being poured in the community so that God's kingdom can be built, right? Use it for God's kingdom.
If we weren't doing those things, if we weren't doing outreach, weren't giving our money to things in the community, supporting local businesses, all these things, doing things for people in the community, I wouldn't want to get paid.
There would be no reason.
What do I have to get paid for?
There'd be no reason. Anybody can stand up on Sunday morning and preach a 30-minute sermon. Anybody. I'm talking about anybody, right? And there's proof of it. Look at any church in America. Anybody can do it, right? It takes someone who's called to actually say, all right, the ministry is more than just the preaching. Ministry is more than just attending to the members that are there any given Sunday. It's much more. I feel the weight of our entire town. I don't just feel the weight of our church. I feel the weight of the entire town, relying on us as a church to make this town better. And if we're going to make this town better, I'm going to do it with God leading us, and I'm going to make it a God-centered town.
Amen, brother.
So that's where my heart is. But listen, let's take a small break. When we come back, I got a couple more topics. And I want to hear a little bit about Brittany's day.
Oh, man, I've got a story for you.
I don't
Stick
know
around.
what it is, guys, so...
And we'll talk about
We'll see.
our new sponsor for today as well.
Yes, we will. Stick
Hang
around.
in there.
Don't go anywhere.
All right, we're back with the second half of episode 6. This is sponsored by, the second half of our podcast is sponsored by All In Church League. All In Church League. This is a league that we do here in Pelham County with all of our churches. You have to be a member of a church and an active member. Let me rephrase that. You have to be an active member of a church, but we're going to be getting that started here in the fall. So
It was very successful last time we did.
Yeah, it was really successful. We had, oh my goodness, probably 40, 50 players.
It was really fun.
It was great.
A lot of fun.
Trinity actually took the win, I believe, didn't we?
We outnumbered it significantly.
We did outnumber them, but we had our teams. One of our teams.
Anyway,
won the championship.
All in Church League Cornhole. They do have a Facebook page. You can go give them a follow.
Yeah, All In Church League.
So yeah.
cornhole. What is it called? What is Facebook?
I think it's all in Church League Cornhole or all in Cornhole League
Yeah.
maybe or something like that.
So I'm
I don't
excited
know.
about that. So participate in that if you are from our area.
Yeah.
But listen, let's go ahead and get started. What did Brittany do today?
Oh man, I've got a really funny story. Let me tell you guys.
I hope it's as funny.
Before I
because
get
you've been
before I
talking
get
about
started,
it for a while.
let me remind you what the email is. Preaching Young, no caps, no spaces @gmail.com. So keep the questions coming. Anyway, this story is actually.
Or if you're a sponsor and you line up with our statement of faith, you can also
absolutely.
email us as well.
Anyway, there's that. Today's Wednesday. May not be Wednesday when you're listening to this, but today's Wednesday. And if you're local, I don't know if it's local, it might not be local, I don't know. Oh, Charlie's is this like a northern thing? It's a restaurant.
It's worldwide.
Is it worldwide?
Has to be.
Statewide.
No,
I mean,
that's
some stuff's like,
No.
northern, whatever.
Everybody
Anyway.
knows O'Charlie's.
Okay, Oh, Charlie's. They do Free Pie Wednesday,
It's like
right?
Ireland.
I don't think so.
O'Charlie.
Oh, goodness.
Anyway, today's Wednesday. They do free pie on Wednesdays.
Still?
Yeah, so.
Still,
if
okay,
you-
hold on. Don't interrupt my story.
I know where
So,
this is going now.
Brittany, I ordered online this morning some lunch. Brittany has to drive past her Charlie's to get to my house to come here. So then I say, hey, why don't you just pick it up on the way through? So she picks it up. Well, it turns out they don't do free pie. They're not doing free pie right now.
Of
I don't know
course
why.
not, because there's a pandemic.
Right, but here's the thing: they're giving away full pies when you order a family meal deal. They're giving away a full pie. So I was like, oh, maybe
It's
they're
called
just.
economics.
Yes, it is. Anyway, so I'm assuming they're going to give us a pie when we get there. So I say, Brittany, when you get there, ask them about our free pies. She gets there, they say, we're not doing free pies. So I'm really bummed out because she texted me and said they're not doing free pies. So then she goes, okay, well, let me just go ahead and order 2 pies anyway. So she orders 2 slices of pie. The guy comes back out with both slices of pie and the check and says, oh, it's only $4. Because I forgot to ring out the second one. It was going to be like $8 or something. So she's like, okay, well, here it is. And she hands him cash. And she says, here, you can just keep the change. Now, Brittany doesn't know that she handed this man a $20 bill. And she says, keep the change.
Yeah.
On $4 ticket.
Technically 8.
4. It was 4 because he only charged her for 4. It would have been 8, yes. Brittany handed him a $20 bill and says, here, you can keep the change. Because she thinks she gave him a $5 bill.
Is that true?
Yes, this is true.
So she thinks she gives him a $5 bill. The guy starts busting out like, oh my gosh, this is the nicest thing ever. I can help you with this for me. Thank you so much. This is great.
Let him.
Drives off. Brittany reaches in her purse and pulls out a $5 bill instead of her $20 bill she had. Because she put together pieces that.
You thought he was excited for a 5.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
she
why
gave
I
him a
was
20.
really confused. I was like, yeah, you're welcome. I thought it was just a little bit of change. I'm thinking, that was nice. Maybe God just wanted this guy
Yes,
to have my
that's
$20
exactly right.
bill. And Andrew's over here like, Brittany,
You know that shit?
you're kidding me.
It was so funny.
You gave him a $20 bill for $4, and I was like, yeah, I did. What was I supposed to do? Turn around and ask
Do you
for
know
it
how many,
back?
do you know how many video games he could have bought with that $20?
Yeah. My dad actually.
Yeah.
I'll
It's
buy-
not even that
Andrew.
I
fun.
could buy my dad some Fortnite
Listen,
skins.
first off, I think that is actually really awesome.
Cool, yeah.
She didn't do it on purpose. Don't give her credit for it.
Yeah, but still, I'm not going to turn back around. I
Yeah,
was
first
like,
off,
oh,
you better
okay.
check.
I said the same thing.
Because a
That can't be bad.
$5 bill is 110% of the thing, because it was only $4. So you actually gave them a dollar extra
Yeah, it
than
was
what you
way
paid
more.
for.
Yeah.
So that was great. You should have paid a little bit more attention.
Life lesson, I
That's
said to
cool.
her. I said, next time just
that's a
take a
big
quick
tip.
glance down at your
That's a
bill
big
you're
tip.
handing him.
Guys,
That's
maybe
a really
he
big
needed
tip.
it.
Anyway.
I'm sure obviously he
And
did.
God used my
But
not
you
very-
know that they're talking about this.
Hopefully you got a
When
truck
he
like
walks
that.
back in, he's gonna be like, that lady just gave me $20 for a pie. That only cost $4. You know they're talking about
Yes,
it.
they
You
are.
were a waitress at one
Yes,
point.
they
You
are.
know they're talking about it.
Yeah, but I didn't mean to. But I mean, it's a great thing. I wasn't upset about it.
Did you at least say God loves you or?
Nope.
Whenever I give a tip, like a big tip or like.
Well, I didn't know I gave him a big tip.
Well, even $5 is a pretty big tip for a $4 meal or a pie. Now, whenever I give a big tip or I want to help, I'm like giving money to like a homeless person, I always give them an actual tip. So I'll say like, so I'll give them a financial tip, but then I'll give them a tip.
Oh, you're that person.
So I'll say, now,
Use an umbrella when it rains.
no. I'll say like, no, make sure you go to a church this Sunday. Or do you got a church? You member of a church?
How's that a tip?
Because if you go,
I did have a guy when
if
I
you
was a
go to
waitress.
church, going to church will help them. It could help them financially. They're struggling financially, spiritually, food wise. That's a big tip.
I get the point.
Listen, when I was working as a waitress,
Yeah, you did.
I absolutely hated.
When somebody said go to church?
No, I hated when people came in and said, here's my tip for you. And says something
No,
like,
I said-
make sure you tie your shoes. Not that you did that, but
I said I always give them, whenever I
you
give,
know how mean
whenever
that
I,
is?
He would do both. He would give a
I'd
financial
say
tip.
when I give a financial tip, if I'm gonna give you money, then you're gonna listen to what I'm about to say, which is, you need to go to church.
Bernie thinks I'm weird for doing that because I if I don't see them before, I'll wait a couple minutes to see if they're going to come back so I can give it to them. And if they don't come back, I'll write it on the receipt. I'll write it
Go
on
to
a
church.
napkin or something like God bless you, go to
That's,
No, I don't think that's
awesome.
And Brittany looked at me
I think
last
that's
time I
awesome.
did that, and she said, "Oh my gosh, you're that person. You're so weird for doing that." I was
no,
like,
no, I did
Excuse me.
not. If anything, I'm the one that is like,
Have you ever done
goodness,
that?
have
No.
a great
Relationship
day,
counseling
love
in
ya.
session. Go ahead, how's
No.
that make you feel?
Anyway, that's my
Me?
story for Brittany today. Free Pie Wednesday was an epic fail. She spent $20 on a $4 piece of pie. So
Well, I hope it was worth it.
I
pretty
think
It was 2 pies though, technically.
Actually,
two for the
Andrew's
price of one.
piece was humongous, and I was
Yes,
like,
it
wow, I
was.
hope my piece is that big. So I waited a little bit, and he goes, no, it's
Yeah,
not.
she got it like a
And it
miniature
was like
piece.
a really miniature piece, but hey, it's fine. I just didn't need it. It's cool.
That's interesting. Listen, we're really big on the youth in our church.
Really
Right.
changing gears here.
I am, but this is we're going back to leadership in church.
It's okay.
What is your favorite youth game?
Ooh.
Oh man.
Because we have a lot. I mean, if you're a youth leader, games are key, man, and having a game is important.
And they're so hard to come up with.
Now,
My-
I have
Good
my
ones.
favorite,
Hard
but I
to
don't
come up with
remember.
good
I don't know
ones.
what the name is.
My favorite is Bang.
All right, you have to explain it.
All right, so Bang is you stand
This is very
in a
fun.
huge circle, and the person to the right of you gets to, you point your fingers
Cool
like
youth
guns.
leaders.
You're not in that group chat.
Yeah, you're not in that group chat.
That little beep you just heard. Wow,
Apologize that.
that was a text message. See, they're texting while we're trying to record this podcast because that's where their heart is.
I am
Can we
not.
Explain the game, please.
I'm explaining the game. We stand in a circle.
Sorry about that interruption.
So
These mics pick it up.
there's
These
someone.
mics pick up everything.
Yes, it does. Someone is in the middle of the circle. Usually it's a leader, so me, Andrew, and Andrew will stand in the middle and he'll point at someone. And the people to the right and left of that person, after the person ducks, I'm really bad at explaining
I know,
games.
she explains it exactly this way when she tries to explain it to the
It really
kids.
does. This is why I don't explain them. Andrew, do you want to explain what Bang is? I feel
Sure.
like I'm
Your favorite
confusing.
game, I'll explain.
Thank you. I just love this game so much.
So
I
she's
don't know the name
she's
of
right there.
games.
You get in a big circle, and so the person in the middle would then point at someone on the outside of the circle. That person then has to duck. If that
The person standing.
the
in
person on the circle,
Just
whatever.
Go,
you
just
get the point.
YouTube it. Church.
Whatever. You point at the thing. It's
Bang.
a fun game. It really involves a lot of other kids. That's the most important.
Yeah, it involves everyone.
Group
That's why. I
That
love
was the
Conclusion.
worst. Now, what's
Mainly
it?
because that's a bad game.
What's-
Let me explain my favorite
Okay,
game.
thank you.
You're welcome. This game is called Four on a Couch.
Oh,
Yes.
And I love this
I
game.
hate this game.
Because it involves no talking.
Listen,
For the most part.
our kids do not understand that game though.
No,
They
they
get
do.
so
No, they don't.
confused.
It's
We've played
it
it a
is
million times and they
quite
still get
confusing.
confused.
This
That's why I
game,
don't like it.
this game I know for a fact is going to be on YouTube, so I'm not going to try to explain it. I want you to go look it up because
Oh my
there's a lot.
gosh, you
But
guys are the worst.
What
at
it
this
is, four on a
podcast
couch.
thing. This podcast thing is us talking. You can't just send them to another.
Well, I'll explain
Avenue.
to them what four on the couch
We want them to
is.
come to this to hear.
let's
about
let Brittany explain it again.
They
Let
go,
Brittany explain it.
I'm listening to Preaching Young because I want to hear how to play this game. And then I'll give you 2 games that I don't know the names of. I do know the names. I should just do it myself.
All right, so four on
So
the
there's
couch.
this game called.
Abram Crozier.
All right, go ahead.
Oh,
Four on a couch.
Big mistake.
You sit in a circle, everybody sits down, there's 4 seats up in front. And the goal
Most
of the
times
game...
it's on a couch.
Yes,
You want to
most
try to
of the
have it
time
on a
it is on
couch.
a
If you don't have a
couch,
couch, it's
It's
Four
okay.
different
There's
colored
4
chairs.
different color chairs.
So everybody writes their name down as they walk into your building.
Mm-hmm.
You
Place
mix
it
it
in a
up,
hat.
you put it in a hat, then you walk around the circle and you give each
A new
person
name.
sitting a new name.
It's not their own name. Their own name.
Yes.
That's why a new name.
So if they get their name, you have to tell them to put it back in the hat. But you keep going, they get all these names, so then they have to recognize who's their name. And then there's an empty seat, and it's to the right of someone.
You went wrong there. Hang on.
Recognize who's
Back
their
up.
name.
The new name that each kid is given in the circle, that's the name that they will respond to from then on out.
Yep.
That's how it works.
So like,
Your
Andrew
name
would
no
get my
longer
name,
applies.
Yes.
and I would have Abram's name. So if someone yelled out
Brittany.
Abram, if someone yelled out Abram, I would have Abram's name, so I would go sit in the chair next to him.
Yes.
Long story short, the objective of the game is to get four. It's genders. It's a gender game. It's a guys versus girls game.
It
So
can be.
It can be. If it depends on what your numbers are, but that's the easiest way to do it. That's how we've played it. But the object of the game is to get whatever team, the two teams, to get your entire team or your entire gender on that couch or four on a chair, so whatever it is.
I would say that if you I would say that if you can't explain the game, it's not a good game.
No, it's a great game.
It's not a good game. if
The
you can't
kids love
explain
it.
So let's do this one.
Maybe that's why they don't know how to
I
play
have two
it.
games that I guarantee that's why.
All right, let's hear yours.
First off, what's the game you call it when you throw up the ball?
Oh, Spud.
Spud.
Ooh, that's fun.
That is hilarious.
That's a fun game.
Everybody's in a circle, guy in the middle throws up a ball, and while the ball is in the air, you have to run away from the guy.
Oh, you get a
And,
number. You're forgetting that.
No, there's no number.
Yes, there is.
Is this his favorite game or yours?
Oh my goodness. No, there's no number. So when I catch that ball, and I'm in the middle, and I catch it, it finally comes down, and I catch it, everybody has to stop where they're at.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
What was that?
You're right.
What was that? And then I have 3 steps that I can take, however big or whatever direction. And then my object is to take those 3 steps and then throw that ball and hit whoever's frozen. So anyway, I love that game. The other one is silent football. And I just learned how to play this game
That's a hard game.
this
That is
year. It's a
complicated.
hard game to explain. It's a hard game
Oh,
to...
well, that's a horrible game then if it's hard to explain.
Get him.
But I will do my best. No, I won't. It's very complicated.
I'm not even sure that this game real. I think this was made up. By
No,
these
no,
people. This is a
no.
real game. No joke.
Yes, I guarantee it.
Real game.
YouTube it.
It's
It has
difficult.
It has nothing to do with
It is
football.
awesome.
Wow, Abram, you do not understand
It
what
is
a
awesome.
podcast
There
is. You
is,
can't send
there's
them to
hand
YouTube.
signals involved, and it literally, we will play that game till the cows come home.
Well, we have never actually played
These
it.
guys have never played that game for whatever reason.
Oh, we have. We played it one
You
time.
played with them, but I want you guys to take that game as well and
It's hard.
apply it because it's amazing.
All right, Abram, you come and explain it to everybody.
This is the reality of my life right now. Not only am I asked to pastor a church, but I gotta teach games to these youngins. So anyway, talking about youngins, this has really been on my heart lately. We tried to talk, I don't know if we ever tried to talk about this, to be honest with you. I think it's just been a topic that we've been avoiding at all cost. But I think it's a topic that needs to be addressed, which is leading the older generation. One of the most difficult things that we see in our world is having to manage an older generation. Our church is made up of a lot of older, I do not want to offend anybody. Our church is made up of a lot of people that are older than us.
That's the easiest way to put it.
I'm 31, you are 19, Brittany, you're 20?
21.
21. And so we're trying, we're in a position where we're staff, we're in leadership positions, and so we're trying to manage people that are older than us, some that are younger, and it's been an interesting, it's been interesting. What do you think is the hardest thing about it?
The hardest thing about it, first let me back up and say, I think the reason for it is because, at least where we're at, in this area, Pelham County, you grew up here.
Okay.
You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, this is why I probably have a little bit more difficulty with it, just off of the mentally. I don't think we have any problems with it. I think we do a very good job of doing it, but mentally I have to get around some things because I did grow up in Pelham County, and more importantly, I grew up at this church. Now my memory is terrible, so I don't really remember too many people, but I do, especially with some of the older members of the church, they were here, and they were my deacons, and they were leading worship when I was a kid. So they're seeing young little and a couple of them were my teachers in school. So they're seeing little young Abram now in a position of leadership inside the church. And so for me, I don't know how they feel about it. I don't want to speak for them, but it has to be a little bit difficult, or in some situations. But for me, it's I'm having to pastor and give advice and encourage and try to guide and direct without upsetting people that I've looked up to my entire life. That's a weird thing to do.
It's a weird concept.
It is.
To wrap
It
your head around.
is a very weird concept.
Yeah, I think So
Trinity's been nothing but great about being accepting of the things that we've been doing, which has been helpful. I don't think we would be where we're at today
absolutely not.
if we didn't have a supportive church that was very open to the changes that we have made. Although we've made a lot of changes. Not drastic changes, but we've made a lot of little changes.
And you're right, we couldn't have done it without an open church.
But do you feel like there's a problem when you stand up and you have to, just even in Andrew's position, you're leading? We'll do Andrew, then we'll do Brittany. Andrew, you're in front of the church, you're directing, you're leading the worship service. Do you find that difficult? People want to jump in. There's times I know that we've had times, especially early on, when people just kind of wanted to jump in. And this has been 38 years of tradition, which is the guy gets up there to do announcements, and then everyone goes, well, I got an announcement, or can you pray for this thing? And it's like, or, hey, will you address this? And you're like, well, hold on now. I have announcements, and I have my which actually we've been trying to get away from announcements, but we haven't really been in church for a while. But go ahead.
Go ahead.
Has that been difficult?
I think the hardest part about it is, I guess dealing with people coming up. I don't know where to go with this.
All right.
People are coming up before.
Yes or no? Do you think it's
hard?
It's hard?
I mean, to an extent, yeah. I think I've got to the point where I can deal with it now. But when I first started, yes, it was kind of hard because you're dealing with people when we were doing announcements, dealing with people trying to add announcements in and having to filter that out while still staying on focus to what you're talking about. And people coming before service and throwing something at you last minute and being like, well, do I say this or do I not bring this up? I mean, is this going to spark somebody speaking out again? I mean, it was difficult at first, but I think we've got to the point now where, I think I got to the point where I ignore it well enough, and I think they've got to the point where they're like, okay, we know that there's a time for it.
Yeah. What about you, Brittany, as a administrative assistant who's dealing with a lot of people? You're dealing with a lot of different groups, a lot of different leaders inside the church. A lot of people are asking a lot from you. Do you find it difficult?
I would say yes. Just because I feel like everybody has an opinion on how they would do things and how they think it should be done. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think early on is when I first started, because I was never in a position like that, I really did not want to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm a people pleaser. You guys don't know me, but I am a people pleaser. So I was like, well, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And now I'm to the point to where this is my job. I know what I have to do. I know what needs to be done, and I have to just trust myself and go with it. And I think what me and Andrew both teach our youth is that just because you're young doesn't mean that you can't spread the gospel or do things, and you cannot teach older people. And I think having my parents, at least, they've always instilled in me that I am smart, I know what I'm doing, and I can do things. So that's helped me out a lot.
And I'm glad you said that about the youth, because I hope, my hope and prayer is that adults as well, but really the younger people, I really do hope that they can see what we're doing, and it encourages them and inspires them to say, you know what, I can do. I can get up and do a Bible reading, or I can stand up and pray, and because Andrew and Brittany and Abram are doing it. I hope they see it that way.
It's good.
And I think they do, honestly. I know one thing that we've implemented is asking kids to send in Bible readings.
Yeah.
And it's been amazing to see some kids just automatically send them in without not even when we ask. They just send them to us so we can put them out there for people to see. And those are kids that I would have never thought initially starting out here that would even want to speak out into the public or anything like that. So I think youth group can help kids in so many ways. And if you are a young leader in a church, keep doing what you're doing. We've been there. We've done that. Not exactly what you're doing, but you know what I mean. Yeah. You know what I mean. Like,
have
don't
confidence.
Let people. Yes, have confidence.
Have confidence. Know that because here's the thing: if you feel like you're called to do it, then you put up or shut up. I always tell people this: put up or shut up. You right? Don't if you really feel called to do it, then do it. Don't sit there and do it halfway. Don't sit there and act like you don't hesitate. Don't hesitate. Have a sense of urgency, sit there and know that God put you in that position for a reason, and He put you in that place. And really, we haven't been doing ministry for too long, but even the few years that I've been doing ministry, I wish I would have done it sooner. I wish I would have stood up sooner. And I did. I stood up maybe more than I should have even, as I think about it.
I think we did.
Got me in trouble,
We're all young.
but also got me here.
And if you mess up, learn from
You
it.
probably did get in trouble, didn't you?
Because I'm stubborn. I like things done a certain way.
It's okay.
But I also like to give people freedom.
We're here for you.
We know.
Silence on a podcast, not a good thing.
Yeah, it is. Everything.
Dramatic effect.
Yeah, dramatic
That's what it was. You're
effect.
right, dramatic effect.
Leading an older generation, one thing that I've learned from it, because I even do nursing homes a lot of times as well. We do ministries at nursing homes. There's even though they're older and they've had a lot more experience than us, and they've sat through probably more church services than we have and heard more sermons than I've ever preached. They're still dealing with the same struggles that we're dealing with, right? They're still, they are going through worry, and they're worried about finances, and they're worried about their health, and they're worried about, tomorrow. And so the message is still the same. Still being able to preach to them the same message of hope, and knowing that Christ is there for them and that they have something greater waiting for them at the end of the tunnel. That's a message that it talks to all ages. And so for me, I feel like, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like I can relate to multiple ages, multiple generations, because I'm not really targeting one generation. In my sermons, when I create my sermons, right, I will add little pieces here and there for the youngins. Like if I were to give a sermon tomorrow, I'd add something about TikTok, or I'd drop a Kanye West lyric from his gospel album. Just a little something for the kids to go, hey, he just said something about Kanye West. And so those are things that I try to do. But also, I always try to bring in hymns or bring in something that my parents taught me at a younger age, which relates to some of the older people. I'll even do like some type of history thing. I like to do church history. A lot of the older generation likes that. Or, I try to be real. I talk about things that are happening in my own life with my kids and my wife, so that relates to some of the younger adults. But I really do. I try to relate to everybody, but the message is always going to be the same.
Always
Jesus
got the
Christ.
gospel.
Amen.
And I think that a lot of the older generation in our church, they've actually, at least for me and Andrew, they've came up and been like, wow, it's so refreshing to see people your age stepping up in ministry roles. Because I think, if anything, it should be encouraging, because the gospel's not going to die out. There's generations coming up.
And the problem is, mega churches do a very good job of promoting young people. They do and that's mostly out of necessity. They don't really have, they have such a big church that they need as many volunteers as they can, so they recruit younger people. But to the older churches, you don't see them promoting younger people, and it's probably one of the most heart-wrenching things. Is you have all these older churches that need young people that won't use young people because they say, well, you're not ready, you don't have enough experience. Insert excuse. And so that hurts your church, that hurts young people. Young people won't step up and do things because they don't have that venue. And so even though we're a rural church in a rural area with a mix of older people, we always want to make sure that we're looking for younger people that will step up and give them that opportunity, because we want younger people to be involved in church. I want younger people to say, hey, I could lead the music one day, or I could do this one day, or I could run the sound, or I could run a camera. We want young people to do that.
Yeah.
I want, if we could get all the young people in the church to do something every Sunday, that would be great.
We have once. Youth Sunday.
That should be every Sunday.
Should be.
Every Sunday should be Youth Sunday. Because we want to encourage our youth to take up leadership roles. And
It's encouraging.
it encourages the church members, it encourages those young people. And guess what? When those kids get older and they're at another church that's, old, broken down church, they can say, hey, I can lead music. I've done it before. I know some hymns.
Good point.
I know it is. I know it is, man. That's why I said it. Well, anyway, that's all I got.
It's good stuff.
Stay encouraged. God loves you. God cares for you. And
We do apologize about last episode once again. Sorry for the audio.
yeah, it's up on YouTube at Abram Crozier Ministries, but it's just not up on our Anchor FM or Spotify.
Correct. Anyway.
And we got more. We got more. Hopefully, we'll be getting some more platforms here shortly.
I hope so.
We're still working on
New
that.
sponsors.
And some new sponsors.
Anyway.
Oh my goodness! But I'm excited. Listen, go share the gospel with somebody this week. Would you do that for me? Thank you.
What a good thing to leave them with.
Appreciate it. This is Abram Crozier.
This is Andrew.
This is Brittany.
And this is Preaching Young. Preaching Young.
We're out.